There's an exciting new tennis talent coming out of Spain, one which tennis fans the world over will already be aware of: Carlos Alcaraz. At just 19 years old, the prodigy has already been ranked as high as 6th in the world, and it has been suggested he could be set to take his fellow countryman Rafael Nadal's title as King of Clay. Today, we are discussing how the Spanish teen could be the new King of Clay. Stay tuned. First up, who exactly is Carlos Alcaraz? Stay tuned to hear all about him. After appearing at every major event last season, Alcaraz really caught the attention of fans and tennis personalities alike after his excellent showing at the US Open in autumn, where he reached the quarterfinals. But where did it all start? Well, the young professional was born in May 2003 and picked up the sport from a very young age. He played at the Real Sociedad Club de Campo de Murcia, where his dad served as tennis academy director until 2018, when he transferred to Equalite J.C. Ferrero Sport Academy, owned and run by former world number 1 Juan Carlos Ferrero. So far during his career, Alcaraz has won 5 ATP singles titles, with many suggesting that his first major is just around the corner, largely due to his performance at Flushing Meadows last year, plus his form so far this year. However, his performances have come as somewhat of a surprise, as he only reached world number 22 as a junior, and since turning professional back in 2018, he has gone on to win 3 ITF Men's World Tennis Tour events, as well as 4 ATP Challenger Tour events. He broke the top 100 in the world for the first time last year, winning his first ATP title in the Croatia Open. And the top 50 soon beckoned after reaching the US Open quarterfinals last year, and he has since broken the top 10 after his Miami Open and Barcelona Open successes earlier this year. Next up, we're discussing his potential as future King of Clay. Stay tuned. Of course, Rafael Nadal has long been known as the King of Clay, and although he probably has a bit of juice left in the old legs, his heir apparent has already been crowned. When Carlos Alcaraz appeared at the Australian Open this past January, he was the youngest player in the men's draw, and a New York Times article ran a piece on the young Spaniard, claiming he was about to cause a big commotion in the game. It was his first appearance in some time, having contracted COVID-19 a couple of months before, but his performances so far this year have proven that there could actually be something to the Times piece. Over the past 2 decades, there have been far too many false dawns, players who have threatened the status quo of the big 3, but those who have tried have mostly failed. Players such as Lleyton Hewitt, Andy Murray, and Andy Roddick all tried to dislodge these guys, but ultimately would only win the odd major here and there. But it has been suggested that Alcaraz possesses the tools needed to finally carry the torch, and it has been suggested that clay is where he could prosper most, after recently winning his home tournament, the Madrid Open, on clay, besting his own hero Rafael Nadal along the way. He also beat Djokovic in the semis, before taking apart Alexander Zverev in the final, who later claimed that Alcaraz is currently the best player in men's tennis. What else do we know about the young Spanish sensation then? Let's see. Well, following his success in Madrid, Alcaraz has become the second youngest player to win 2 Masters 1000 titles. The first, his hero Nadal, which gives you an idea of the sort of trajectory he could currently be on. And it seems as though he now has the world at his feet, given his performances so far this year, as well as his world ranking. And hopes are high for the Murcia man. He recently said, "Last year I was going through these experiences for the first time, playing against the best players, playing in the Masters 1000, and I learned a lot. Now it's different. I go onto the court with the confidence that I can win at any moment." And this will, of course, help him to no end. At the moment, he seems to be indestructible and will be hoping to go far in the French Open, which kicked off earlier this week. After disposing of Zverev, who became his 7th straight top 10 victim, he seems to have now kicked on another level, which echoes Nadal's early years pretty eerily. Of course, there is a serious danger when hyping up young talent, but at the moment, Alcaraz seems to be taking it all in his stride, and some have suggested that he is destined for greatness, even claiming he can outscore Nadal for major titles. While this could be a little premature, he definitely seems to have what it takes to be a force for years to come. What have you guys made of Alcaraz so far? Next up, we're discussing his first performance at Roland Garros. Alcaraz was on court yesterday for his debut at this year's French Open tournament, where he will be hoping to improve on his 3rd round showing from last year. And yesterday, May 23rd, he sailed past Juan Ignacio Londero, beating him in straight sets 6-4, 6-2, 6-0, setting up a second-round date with fellow Spaniard Albert Ramos Vinolas. After the win, Alcaraz spoke on how he struggled at the beginning of the match, also discussing how it's always special to play in such a great stadium, a great court. Ultimately, he admitted he was happy with his performance and that he now hopes to play more matches. And of course, the last time he appeared at Roland Garros, he was number 97 in the world. So to say he has experienced a meteoric rise would be somewhat of an understatement. He is now viewed as one of the favorites for the tournament and is expected to dispose of Ramos Vinolas when the pair meet tomorrow. However, Alcaraz has spoken of how he is trying to manage his hype by just focusing on the matches and tournament and not engaging with social media. He said, "I just focus on what I have to improve, what I have to do in the matches, what I have to do every day to be ready in the tournament." And in his first match with Londero, he was never really in trouble against the Argentine. Who is your tip for this year's French Open men's title? Some more Wimbledon news now. Stay with us. Following the English tournament being stripped of rankings points thanks to their ban on Russian and Belarusian players, some tennis stars have claimed that they might not even take part in this year's tournament. Organizers decided to ban athletes from both countries following Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, but the ATP and WTA have since removed the ATP ranking points from the world's most prestigious tournament. And last year, the ATP explained that our rules and agreements exist in order to protect the rights of players as a whole. Unilateral decisions of this nature, if unaddressed, set a damaging precedent for the rest of the tour. Discrimination by individual tournaments is simply not viable. And following the shock announcement, four-time major winner Naomi Osaka has suggested she might not take part as without ranking points, the event is more like an exhibition. And whilst stopping short of criticizing Wimbledon and its organizers, she did suggest that earning points was a motivation to attend, saying, "The intention of this measure was good, but the execution is all over the place," before going on to say that she knows it's not an exhibition, but that's how it feels in her brain, saying, "I just can't go at it 100%. Whilst also saying she hasn't made her decision, she did concede she was leaning more towards not playing given the current circumstances, which would, of course, be a shame for the tournament. What have you guys made of Osaka's words? And finally, Dan Evans has spoken out about the privilege some players receive. Evans was recently speaking about the ATP and WTA only consulting big-name players when deciding if they should remove ranking points from Wimbledon. Evans claimed that being better at tennis makes your opinion louder, and both Nadal and Djokovic have both voiced concerns that Russian and Belarusian players will not be allowed to attend, which Evans has suggested added to the decision to strip SW19 of its rankings points. French player Lucas Pouillet recently became the first player to say he wouldn't be playing in this summer's tournament, as well as potentially the aforementioned Osaka. The debate is set to range on until the start of the tournament at the end of June, and Evans has voiced his concerns on what he sees as favoritism from the powers that be. He said, "I also don't like when the players are saying it's a disgrace but don't know the ins and outs of the issue. I would like to have more player input, but that wasn't to be. Like most things, the bigger, better players were asked, and there are quite a lot of other players on the tour as well as Rafa and Novak. So, which is disappointing in my opinion from the ATP. What do you guys make of this issue? Thanks for dropping in today, and remember to join us next time for some more fun and games. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye guys!